Hello, everyone. Welcome to a lovely 5-star museum in the Pointy Mountains, filled with mostly fantasy stuff, but also stuff that goes well with fantasy. We've got 4 major wings here, so let's take a look at all of them.
Vandals, caught vandalizing. We stopped them,
Obviously. Here's our main entrance. Here's our lovely fantasy-themed ticket booth. And the map booth, which was asked for early on. And also asked for early on was frozen stuff. So I didn't really specialize in prehistoric things in this museum. But I did put the frozen stuff that was asked for right here near the entrance, and our Bigfoot statue is here, keeping it company. It's really the best place for it. This little section here, of course, was what we started with, and so it's kind of got a mixture of everything, kind of the most basic levels of everything. It's got the gift shop that was asked for early on. It's got a cafe, which is all tavern themed, because I realized that you get a lot more money per meal out of a cafe than you do out of a vending machine. So I built a cafe in this museum way earlier than I usually would. Also up front, we've got something that I often use, just a nice little decorated spot for guest exhibits. This is usually empty, but whenever we get a guest exhibit, we just plunk it in the center. So I don't have to think too hard about where to put it. It's always in a good place. There's always going to be new arrivals to the museum coming through and looking at it. We've got a nice big restroom, appropriately named. I mean, they're golden toilets. What else are you going to use? So, in terms of fantasy things, we've got... Out front here, we've got really the most basic items. These are the things that I had access to right away when I started this map. So just the things really that were available in the pre-DLC. So Fool's Gold, a statue that doesn't seem to do very much, 1 pair of bolt buckle boots, and over here we've got the half and half tapestry. The teeny kettle I stuck in this other room. We'll get over there in a moment. Now, I used to have more pairs of bolt buckle boots, but because of money issues in the early game, I sold off most of the extras, and so it was rather devastating when Wishfell got torched by the dragon and suddenly my source of them was gone for a while.
Disinterested guests are reminded that not everything has to be a party, okay?
You'll also notice there's some supernatural stuff in here. I picked some of that up early on just because it seemed to go well with fantasy. It's got a magical element to it. Of course, it's all kind of more modern looking or mechanical looking stuff than kind of goes with most of the fantasy items, but it works well enough. It also worked well enough to put this penny pincher here. I kind of got this in an event late in the game, and that's a kind of nice gadget to have near the phone. It looks like it belongs. I guess it could be a good placeholder for guest exhibits when there is no guest exhibit, just because the penny pincher is occasionally a guest exhibit that you can have, but then I'd have to always move it out of the way when I got a guest exhibit, and that's a hassle. Roderick's over here. He actually gave us a statue fairly early on. It was helpful for a nice boost.
Time now for another fascinating tidbit of information for your edification.
Over here
Today
is the Hall of Loot,
1-year anniversary of the opening of the world's smallest museum,
which is where most of our fantasy stuff that's not directly dragon related is. And currently the big centerpiece, which I really only filled out in the last part of the stream, is our night tournament area here. So we've got Kings of the Ring here, We've got the 3 variants of fantasy armor flanking it on both sides. And that leaves one spot open. I have considered putting the haunted armor here. That would also go really well. It really wants to be near a catacomb wall, though. And I didn't feel like adding a wall here yet. I wasn't sure quite what I wanted to do about that, and it goes well where it is currently. We'll see it later. And the plot armor seemed to go well in this spot, too. We've got our mythical items kind of scattered throughout this hall mostly, so it goes well there. Over here, we've got some nice groups of 3. We've got our geode starters, water, fire, and grass. Pick your favorite. And we've also got 3 different colors of ice crystal, which are all looking very nice. We used to have one of them over by the other frozen exhibits because we needed a tour that included all those, but once we had 3 of them to work with, there wasn't much room over there, so I moved them over here. This hallway for the staff rooms is new. I added that pretty late in the game so that this area would look nicer. Now, this section here has gone through a lot of changes over the course of the museum. It started off as kind of a greenhouse area, and it was home to a tour of enchanted items at some point, and I keep changing it as its contents get moved to other areas. Right now, it's mostly goblin themed. Of course, the teeny kettle's here. I've got a shiny geode here, but I've also got all the really strongly goblin themed stuff here. I've got the cavalry statue. I've got the golden goblin statue. It's looking a little sad right now. That's all right. It'll be better in a minute. Coin of 2 sides. So that's a nice place for it. It's kind of tough to make a greenhouse on this map because the whole place starts out cold. You really have to put a lot of effort into heating it up. This thing has serious Hunter Tier 6 vibes. Over here, I've kind of got an alcove with lots of mythical items. So we've got our Wizard's Chat, we've got our Kingdom Crown, the 2 hats together. We've got the Loot right next to another musical item, Jasmine Album. So those are all grouped together. Over here is where I've got all the really strongly tabletop game and Tolkien themed stuff. Dungeon manual, the table, the trolls, and Fates of 20, which is on a knowledge boosting roll because that's what we needed for the 5th star. Here we've got Nor's hammer. And of course it looks exactly like the kind of weapon that you would have to throw at 3 runes in order to solve a puzzle, so there's 3 runes. Like that's rather an easy one, brother. Got the dwarven stuff over here. I like how they reused the space theme of putting stuff close together to activate it. Dwarven sense of humor aside. Guess that pairs well with the hammer. Over here, we've got the Hall of Dragons. And if you were watching my previous video that gave a tour of this, then you will have heard some of my world building ideas for these items. But to sum it up, my idea with the big and the little dragon here is that they are related. Found together in a tar pit, basically. Got our dungeon leaper. We've got another cafe and restroom because people in this area tend to start needing it around here. Got a throne, next to the other thrones and next to the dragons, because, well,
Paradise is only
it
a
belongs.
stone's throw away.
The dragons are also guarding our polished gems. Those are looking nice. Got lots of other dragon-themed items here, including the wagon and another half-and-half tapestry and more boots. These would have come from the alternate location, not Wishfell, because
It's a bit tense, isn't it?
here's our Wishfell Memorial Corner. The dragon's tail and the 2 pieces of war turf. And other dragon-themed stuff in this corner. Got the carpet. Got these nice scales. So all the dragon stuff goes here. Plus the dungeon, because it looks really good near the Ironic Throne. So that's all the stuff on that side. Over here, across the way, we have the Hall of Life and Undeath. I'm really proud of this greenhouse. Spent a lot of time during the last stream getting the paths to look just right. I used to have kind of more basic plants in here, stuff like the one that looks like a folding chair. But those kind of didn't go with the rest of the museum, really.
Botany exhibits are allowed.
Most important things for me were to have the prison ivy, of course, and also the fantasy items that are more jungly than medieval. So stuff like this door, the poultry pole. Those things belong in a greenhouse. They are too jungly to go anywhere else. So they go here. And plants that can eat you are fantasy adjacent. Usually it would be a tree that tries to eat a hobbit, but these will do. And we've got our aquarium sections in here as well. Of course, we have swordfish here, but we also have the stuff that we needed to catch in order to unlock the swordfish.
Guests are prepared,
And some of those are fantasy adjacent as well.
but they're not.
We've got water dragons, seahorses. That's close enough. Plus 1 random clownfish hanging out. He's okay. We had to get sea monsters. So we've got a scribble squid over here. Maybe the ink is magical. I bet it is. And we've got our Lagoonian creatures here. They're a B-movie. That's fantasy adjacent. Another sea monster, a zapper. And the fish person. Which is why we had to unlock all those other monsters so we could get this guy.
Guests should
We needed the mulcher so that we could make the camouflage in order to get these guys safely. And through this very nice door, this is where the rest of our supernatural stuff is. So the main features here are the ghosts. We've got the goblins, which are fantasy specific. But we've also got Lord Blackguard here. He's a knight, so he fits. Took us a long time to find another Blackguard knight for him to hang out with. We kept getting Noblestead knights, and they don't get along well with Blackguard knights. So it took a while for us to find Lord Blackguard a good roommate. We've also got the haunted armor over here. It could also go well with the other armors in the other room, but this is okay for now. And the other thing we've got over here is the novel wardrobe, because it looks really good with the supernatural stuff, with all these other disused and covered pieces of furniture. This is exactly where you should find this wardrobe. This is something you need to find in an old house during the 1940s, not in a medieval style place. So it goes really well here, and I really like that about some of the fantasy exhibits, that they just play so well with the other themes. So that's our museum. I think in the early to mid game, really a big part of the challenge was just having enough money here. Even when money was in a good position, the expeditions are expensive. And early on, I was running out pretty constantly. It was mostly an issue of just running up too much debt and having to pay back the interest more than anything else. These fish here in the tank were a decent source of money because I would breed them. They breed fairly quickly.
Can you tell us what you found?
But once we got past that, it was pretty good. It would be nice to do some more theming in these two rooms. I just kind of never got to it because the way I play this game is in 4-hour streams, and so once the stream is over, I gotta wait till next week in order to do more.
Perhaps lying next to a tiny pack of playing cards and a
So that's it.
worthy witticism.
Thank you for joining me on this tour.
Just a hunch.
Thank you to Just for lining up the challenge, because
Something
these challenges are fun to do. And hope to see you on Twitch or on YouTube for more 2 Point Museum and all the other stuff that I do. See you later.